Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Airing of Grievances. Yes, you heard me correctly. This is the Airing of Grievances, even though this doesn't look anything like the shop that you are accustomed to seeing. My name is Eric Raymer. This is my home, and it has been an exceptionally busy week at Nyland's Collision Center. And so Rob asked me to meet with you today as I am also going out of town again this weekend. And so it's just been a short week with lots of things going on at the shop, but I wanted to share an article that was written by Michelle Thompson over at Repair Driven News with you and to discuss it with you because I think that it affects me and it could quite possibly affect you as well. And with that being said, I just want to wish you a very happy Saturday. Very nice to have you along with me. And Rob will be back again next week. But let's dive into today's discussion of the article that was written by Michelle Thompson over Repair Driven News. The headline of this article reads, AAA says more than half of drivers surveyed engage in risky behavior. Does that surprise you? More than half of the people who were surveyed, and we'll get into the numbers and all of that, said that they engage in risky behavior. And full disclosure, I know that on occasion I have behaved in risky driving behavior, and I will share with you the context of that and why I thought this was an important thing to discuss, as it's not so much about the inner workings of the collision industry, although it definitely has tangential ties to the collision industry, and we'll talk about some of those as well. But I do think this has something to do with each and every one of us that gets behind the wheel of our car each and every day. So allow me to read a little bit of the article, and then we'll stop and talk about certain points. More than half of U.S. drivers engage in risky behaviors when they're behind the wheel, new research says. According to the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety's annual Traffic Safety Culture Index, or TSCI survey, just 41% of drivers were considered safe. And by my math, that makes it about 59% of the drivers that fall into the context of this study as not safe or engaging in risky behavior. The latest study, based on 2022 data, found that 2,499 drivers studied, more than 1 in 5 sped while others admitted to being distracted. Now, it's an interesting way to phrase that statistic, more than 1 in 5. I don't know anybody who doesn't speed. I really don't. There may be some out there, and I'm not making assumptions about you, but in my experience, almost everyone on the roads today drives at least 4, and in many cases much more than 4 miles per hour over the posted speed limits. That's just my experience. And I'll tell you about my experience in just a moment, so bear with me. Some of those studied also engaged in aggressive or impaired driving. I don't think it takes much to imagine what aggressive or impaired driving is, although impaired is a general term. You could be impaired by drugs, you could be impaired by alcohol, you could be impaired by legal substances or illegal substances, you could be impaired by a conversation or a phone call or a text. So there's a lot of things that could fall under that umbrella. Despite acknowledging the dangers, some drivers continue to engage in potentially deadly behaviors, particularly speeding, says David Yang, AAA Foundation's president and executive director. Understanding the different types of risky driving behaviors and the characteristics of drivers who engage in them is crucial for developing targeted interventions to achieve safe mobility. That's David Yang. And by the way, these surveys and the articles that I'll be talking about will all be linked in the description box below so that you can check them out for yourself and see what's going on. The AAA Foundation grouped drivers into 6 profiles. There are safe drivers, distracted drivers, speeding drivers, distracted and aggressive drivers, and impaired drivers. There's another category called, quote, most dangerous drivers that represents those who engage in all of the included risky behaviors. So lots of different ways to sort the data, but if you are, it's either A, B, C, D, or E, or possibly all of the above. The survey found that while 63% of the respondents believed that they would be nabbed by the police for going 15 miles per hour faster than the limit on a highway, about half of them said that they had sped within 30 days of taking the survey. 63% of the respondents to the survey said that they thought that the police would pull them over if they drove 15 miles or faster over the posted speed limit. And yet, about 50% of them said that they had sped within the last 30 days. And I'm thinking, that number seems low to me. I don't know. Again, I am on the road every day. Allow me to explain. You know me from doing these videos with Rob here on the Airing of Grievances on this YouTube channel. What you may not know about me is that I am the owner of 3 companies. And one of those companies is a driving service. My company drives people back and forth to the airport here in the Denver metro area. And that's one of the sources of my living. That's how I make an income. And as such, I pride myself on having not encountered a pullover situation with a police officer for 30, 40 years or more. I pride myself on the fact that I've never had an accident on the road with in the context of me driving in that capacity. And I'd like to believe that I'm a safe and conscientious driver. That said, I also take a look at the conditions for driving, and in many cases here in the Denver metro area, and I'm not making assumptions again about where you are, but if the shoe fits, wear it. The speed limit, maybe the speed limit is posted at 65 miles an hour, but the great majority, and I would say well over 95% of drivers are driving in excess of that posted speed limit. You do find the occasional folks who are driving slower than the posted speed limit, and that too is challenging and perhaps dangerous, potentially dangerous. But I find that the percentage of 50% of the people saying that they've sped within 30 days of the survey, I find that almost an unbelievable statistic. I find that it feels low to me. What about you? Leave it in the comments. Let me know. If you're chatting, and Rob will be available to chat during the premiere of this video on Saturday morning, let him know. Do you? And look, nobody's going to come over and arrest you for confessing that maybe you drive a little faster than the speed limit. I know that I don't really think too much about driving 3 or 4 miles over the speed limit if the other traffic is also exceeding the speed limit. But I do have my limitations, which is an interesting thing. I have a limit on the speed limit in my own mind, even though I should be following the speed limit. But my limit is speed plus 4. And after that, you probably won't find me going much faster than that. So there's that. Last month, the National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, called for intelligent speed assistance technology in all new cars. It made the recommendation after investigating a multi-vehicle collision in Las Vegas, Nevada, that killed 9 people. And the NTSB said that the ISA, that intelligent speed assistance, uses a car's GPS location, which is compared with a database of posted speed limits alongside onboard cameras to ensure the driver is complying with posted speed limits. Now, your car probably already does this, and it probably interacts with your smartphone, because your smartphone, if you are using Apple Maps or Google Maps, or you're using Waze or any of the other GPS technologies to find your way from one place to another, which I do every single day of my driving existence, if you're using that, this intelligent speed assistance technology is already there. Whether or not it is being imported into your car. I use Apple products, and so I have Apple CarPlay. But I can clearly see it flash on my digital screen when I exceed the speed limit. It will tell me when I'm going lower than the speed limit, and it tells me when I'm right in the sweet spot. This technology is kind of proposing that it warns drivers when the vehicle exceeds the limit, the posted speed limit, through sound or a visual or even a haptic, or like a vibration on the steering wheel or something like that, with those kinds of alerts. And that's just the passive systems. If it were to be deemed necessary to put active systems on it, then you could not go faster than the speed limit. The car would be regulated. I know that there are certain transportation, like buses in the city, that have regulators on them, and they're not allowed. I mean, you could push all the way, push the pedal to the metal, and you're not allowed to go faster than the posted speed limit, or faster than, a certain speed limit. My question to you is, what do you think about that? Do you think that having a technology that overrides your freedom of use of the vehicle, is that good? Or is that a little too 1984? I don't propose to make your decision for you, but I'm interested in hearing your opinion on that. Let's talk a little bit about distracted driving. The latest TSCI data found that as it relates to distracted driving, 93% of respondents believed that texting or emailing on a phone while driving would be very or extremely dangerous. Yes, I agree. However, of that same 93%, almost a third of them, 27%, admitted that they send text messages, or 38% say they've had conversations on a handheld phone. Now, many of the day's technologies, the current cars allow you to do hands-free communications. I do that. But even then, they say that constitutes some type of distracted driving. And again, my question to you is, are you guilty? I am. I have conversations on my phone. When an incoming phone call comes in, I push a button on my steering wheel and I accept the call. And in some cases, if you're in a car that doesn't have a steering wheel, maybe you reach over to your dash and you click the button on the dash that says, on your display, that says answer the phone. And then it comes through the car's speakers, and that's the technology today. That's where we are today. Now, there's a lot more in this article, and I'm going to let you read that for yourself. But let's talk a little bit about distracted driving from the perspective of somebody who uses technology in order to achieve my business, my job. I didn't always own the company that I own today to get people back and forth to and from the airport. I used to drive for Lyft, and my son drives for Lyft and Uber currently. And as such, We all understand the dangers, the intrinsic or inherent risks that are associated with distracted driving. But if you're going to be a Lyft or Uber driver, which, by the way, we have background checks and we have, driving ability checks. Back in the day, we had to go through physical exams every other year, and I think today that's kind of changed. We're on the honor system, saying that I'm not gonna pass out while I'm driving, or whatever the case may be. I haven't driven for Lyft for a number of years, and so I don't know the answer to that specifically today. But what I do know is that every driver for Lyft or Uber or any of those types of rideshare services have apps on their phone that must be on and engaged with while you're driving. I'll give you an example. I turn on the Lyft driver app and I hook that into my phone holder. You clip it in and you do you turn it on and say, I'm ready for business. And then all of a sudden, through the sky, bing, you're alerted that somebody needs a ride. And they're just 5 minutes away. So would you like to accept this ride? And in order to accept that ride, you have to reach over to your phone and slide or push a button or slide the app to accept the ride. Then new information comes up with the exact address of where this person is, and you have to go interact with that. Most of the apps now integrate seamlessly with Google Maps or Waze or Apple Maps. So, all of a sudden we're playing Pac-Man with the little purple line that takes us through the city to find our passenger. Then we pull over, the passenger gets in, and before we leave, we confirm the identity of the passenger, and we say, I've picked that passenger up. So another swipe on the app that says, we're ready to go. And off we go, following the little Pac-Man line to the destination. But throughout that time, there may be interruptions to that. For instance, maybe a passenger says, hey, can I make a stop here before you take me there? And if that's the case, you have to engage with the app again to acknowledge that there's been a deviation of the plan. Or maybe you are en route to go pick somebody up, and all of a sudden the information changes and the app has deemed that person eligible to be picked up by somebody else, and you get a different location, and you have to acknowledge again that you are doing this. So there's a lot of engagement that happens while driving and or pulled over and picking somebody up or dropping them off. That's not the safest thing on the planet. So my question to you is, have you experienced that? Do you wonder and sometimes scratch your head about, well, gosh, how safe is that if we have to engage? I use the app called Waze, and we are not sponsored in any way, shape, or form by any of those entities, but I use Waze on a daily basis. I think it gives great information, but sometimes it requests or prompts you, that's a better way of saying it prompts you for engagement with the app. For instance, it may alert you, hazard on roadside ahead. Or the most terrifying alert is object on road. And it may give you an indication of sort of where that object might be, but it doesn't tell you which lane, it doesn't tell you what kind of object, it doesn't give you any of that kind of stuff. But it does ask you to either confirm it or say it's no longer there. It even alerts you to the presence of police. It really does. Now, the app doesn't know where the police are unless drivers tell them. That's right, you heard me correctly. The app doesn't know if there's roadkill or a car on the side of the road or an object in the middle, a pothole in the road, or a police officer, hidden or otherwise, unless one of us drivers Tell the app by pushing a series of buttons. There's a little orange button. They give you a prompt of 6 different options of what kind of report are you making. And then you have to push the report, and then you have to push, slow, medium, or stopped. I mean, it's distracted driving. And because of that, I don't interact with my Waze app hardly at all. The only time I would ever even think about interacting with it is if there is nobody around me and the road is straight ahead and it's asking me, did I see that pothole? Can I verify that it's there? And I literally 1 second glance over, tap, yes, still there. That's about the extent of my engagement with this app. But distracted driving is a big thing. And, we talk a lot about on this channel, ADAS, the driver assist software that is in almost all the new cars these days, that alerts you to lane changes or upcoming traffic or, things like that. But these things, they're intended to save our lives. My question to you is it working? I'm a big proponent of ADAS software, don't get me wrong. I keep all of my technology on in my vehicles so that I have every advantage afforded to me. I don't turn it off because it's irritating. I embrace the irritation as keeping me alert. But I'm aware of other surveys that talk about how sometimes people turn them off because they're inconvenient and they are annoying and they don't generate the benefit that they're intended. So there you have it, folks. I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time today to talk about distracted driving and impaired driving. We didn't get into the various impairments beyond, the technology that was covered in this particular article. But, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that there are other types of impairment, including those deemed legal, but can still create havoc on the roads. And there's not a lot of people talking about a lot of that. But my purpose here was to start the conversation and to see where it goes. I would be most grateful if you would take the time to leave a comment. Let me know. Do you think this is an issue worth talking about? Do you think that the statistics are much higher than what's being reported? It always makes me a little skeptical when we're asking about things that could get us in trouble and how many people are really going to report on that, honestly. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a negative Nelly and I don't know what I'm talking about. But I suspect that the statistics are a great deal higher than even what this article, though the article is based on the survey of 2,499 people. I wonder what happened to that 2,500 person. I don't know. Listen, I'm going to let you get on with your days. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me for mine. And know that Rob is so grateful for each and every one of you. It's an honor, it's a privilege to share helpful information. If you found this helpful, would you please give the thumbs up and let YouTube know that you appreciated this content? It would mean the world to me if you would share this on your social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, X. Any of those would be great places to share this. And let's keep the conversation going. Until next week, I wish you a very happy Saturday. Thanks for joining me at my home, and I will be back with Rob next week.